Scariest things caught on doorbell cameras. If you guys like these videos and want to see more, make sure you like and follow.
This abandoned psychiatric hospital was closed due to cruelty towards patients. Let's go and take a look inside. Patients were given electroshock therapy as well as being tied to their beds. Now all that's left is the sadness and the horrors of what took place here. The hospital was called the place of no return, as patients were never allowed to leave and would die within these walls.
They put Elvis on some insane diets to help combat with all the weight gain and health problems he was having. One was called the Sleeping Beauty diet. It's where you don't eat and you don't drink. You take pills that make you sleep for hours, so then you're not awake and hungry and need to eat. And once he had his doctor put him in a medically induced coma, so he would not be able to eat anything. And for some reason, this bitch complied. I know it was a different world back then, but like, oh my gosh. Throughout 1975, he refused to bathe. So man just like sat around, ate, and would not take a bath, and was gaining a ton of weight because of all of this. And this gave him a lot of sores on his body because he wouldn't bathe. Like, people need to bathe. The non-stop touring and the toll of his mother's death really took a decline on his mental and physical health. And obviously he was feeling bad about himself. Like, his face looks very different from when he looked like this heartthrob. And just being in the public eye in general is so stressful. His belly was bloated, he weighed so much, but his body didn't want to expand. It was something with his abdomen. I'm no doctor, and to be honest, everything I was reading I did not understand. But for some reason his abdomen did not want to like make his stomach bigger, and his belly was so bloated. I mean, he struggled with a lot of constipation, and this ultimately led to his death. The next part of this video is in the playlist. Follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more content.
The last tribe on Earth to use what some believe is the most ancient hunting technique of all.
That was the San people of the Kalahari Desert in Africa, who used the most ancient yet the most terrifying hunting technique that was passed down to us by our ancestors. Now, we all know that every single animal has adaptations that have allowed them to survive to the modern day. For instance, we all know that cheetahs are the fastest land mammal on Earth. Sharks have a limitless supply of teeth that they use to tear their prey apart. But what about humans? Now I know what you're saying. Our brains, obviously. Easily we are the smartest creatures on the planet. But be that as it may, if I was to plop any one of us in the middle of Africa and told you to survive, regardless of how smart you are, how many PhDs you got, you're probably not going to make it. So what other adaptations besides our intelligence gave humans the edge over animals, and more specifically, our prey? Running. Human beings are easily the best long-distance runners in the entire world. Now this is due to a few different reasons. Number one, the ability to sweat. Now, short of monkeys, apes, hippos, and horses, human beings are the only creatures that can actually sweat, which allows us to cool as we run. And also, being bipedal, our tendons and our muscles have adapted to, when we hit the ground, kind of spring forward, something that four-legged animals just don't have. So how do we use this adaptation? It is called persistence hunting. We would literally run our prey down. Now, in unison with our brains, what humans would do would get up, find a prey, and literally run it to exhaustion. They would run, the animal would get tired, and then we would catch up. It would run, it would get tired, and we would catch up. And we'd repeat this process for sometimes up to 8 to 12 hours before an animal would ultimately fall to exhaustion, allowing us to go in for the kill. This is actually best demonstrated by the San people of the Kalahari in Africa, who still use persistence hunting up until the last decade. And from a prey's perspective, how absolutely terrifying must that be? With the ability to track and find hiding places and know the layout of the land, there was literally no escape. They would just run and run and run. And no matter how far you ran, you were never going to escape.
And then the kudu collapses from sheer exhaustion.
Don't ever try this. Here's how you can see if your crush is secretly in love with you. First, you're gonna need a piece of paper and draw 3 red dots on it. Once you've done that, place a water drop on top of each red dot. The ink will spread, revealing the truth. If the dots don't touch, your crush doesn't love you. But if the dots do touch, your crush is definitely in love with you.
Like, put on a cute ass outfit and walk in front of your camera at 0.3x speed and tell me you don't feel like a bad bitch.
I'ma make you pump like that. Make you pump that. Make you.
Without you, it's hard to survive.
Watch the live face reveal of my favorite YouTuber. What I saw will always haunt me. I come from a small mining town in Arizona where there is not a lot to do except hike. It was a good but boring area to grow up. Our population was small with little to no crime. My father owned the quarry where a majority of the community's economic strength came from. He left me a sizable inheritance after he passed away. I bought a truck and a house out in the plains with a basketball court and a pool. That was the sole extent of my lavish spending, but it was all I needed. Unless you count pizza, I didn't have many vices to blow my fortune on. I've never been an avid party goer, luckily. Like a lot of people my age, one indulgence I did have was watching YouTube. Urban exploration became a most searched category of mine from 2009 on. I became a subscriber of a content creator and urbex vlogger named Isolation Infinity. He kept himself anonymous and did not show his face. He used footage of the haunts he went into as captured by the body camera strapped to his chest. His voice's baritone became a signature element of the channel. He traveled all over the world and went into many chilling places. These included vacant hospitals, asylums, morgues, and train stations. He even stumbled upon a murder in progress once. A homeless man had stomped another transient to death in a farmhouse. He uploaded edited parts of it. This was a controversial decision. It almost resulted in a lifetime ban for him from the platform. The clips did help law enforcement later on, nonetheless. He was also arrested a few times for trespassing on famous estates. The Houdini mansion in Los Angeles was one of them, but none of his fans held this against him. We respected him for being willing to get into trouble with the law in pursuit of the next viral video. Late last year, Isolation Infinity announced he was going to have a live face reveal. It was only going to be for his patrons, those who gave money to his Patreon account. I contributed funds to it on a monthly basis. I viewed him as a pioneer of his entertainment niche and did not mind sparing a little change. He emailed me and told me I was one of a dozen allowed to attend the live event. He further stated it would be in a password-protected chat room. He also promised an exclusive video which would not make it onto the public video lineup. I was more interested in the latter than the former. I never cared what his appearance was since I already had a vision of someone my age, in their mid to late 20s. It was hard to convince me he looked any different from the picture in my mind's eye. Still, I was not going to turn down the chance to find out. Being able to brag to his diehard followers who did not get to experience it would be worth it alone. The night of the scheduled face reveal, I booted up my PC. I kicked back on a lounge chair in the second-story room of my house, which was my entertainment space. It was complete with video game consoles and my beloved Alienware computer. An open bag of peppered jerky and a bottle of ginger ale sat next to my keyboard. I went into my email. The password was in my inbox. I followed the link. It led me to the video of a room with nothing in it but a red wall with a baby blue frame. The caption Isolation Infinity will be on shortly rested at the bottom of the screen. I expected a home studio and instead got what appeared to be someone's dingy basement in need of a new coat of paint. What bothered me the most was the sound of heavy machinery whirring in the background. I wrote it off as bad plumbing. A man came into the frame. He was slim and wore a trench coat with maroon buttons on its front. He reached down, grabbed the lens of the camera, and shifted it upward. The familiar voice we had all grown fond of started to count down. "Are you ready to see who I am?" Isolation Infinity asked. 1, 2, 3, 4. At 5, he hoisted it upwards and pointed it at his face. I froze.